Hey guys, Daniel back for another video, trying it out with a new camera, because my phone is such a piece of shit when it comes to recording videos. It just, sometimes it deletes whatever the fuck it wants whenever I decide to delete something off of my internal storage, and it goes up into the cloud. Sometimes it doesn't upload, sometimes it just will erase. And plus I can never get to have the image cropped properly. So I'm done recording with that phone. This isn't really a new camera, it's just kind of new to me. I picked it up really cheap, used. Just really kind of hoping it works so that I don't have to go out and pay for a brand new camera. But if that happens to be the case, I'll do it anyway. But yeah, this video is more of like a trial run to see if it works. But I felt it was a good video to do. And that was how I got into heavy metal. About the video that me and Chris did that I was talking about in my last video, yeah, that was one of the files that definitely got erased. So that's cool. Great, that's awesome. But yeah, so forget the video I talked about in the last one. This one is all about how I got into heavy metal, and then when Chris and I meet up again, I'll probably have him talk about how he got into metal too. But basically how I got into heavy metal was through the game Guitar Hero. Obviously everyone knows Guitar Hero. I don't really think I need to do any explaining on that. It was pretty popular for a very long time, so what I say isn't new. But there was Guitar Hero 2 that got me into Anthrax and Metallica, because it had the song Madhouse and it had the song Battery. Both of those two songs I heard when they came on in the game, and they were far different from what I was used to. I was used to the more Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, The Who kind of stuff, and what my parents listened to. I mean, my dad liked Metallica, but if anything, I got him more into Metallica than he would have got himself into it. And also, I would later go on to get him into Megadeth and Slayer. When he went with us to Iron Maiden, I was telling him how great I thought Ghost was, and I got him into Ghost, seeing that show. I've even gotten him to listen to Avenged Sevenfold, Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, Five Finger Death Punch. I think I even got him listening to Pantera. But yeah, so my parents more or less got me into rock than anything, so I had to kind of discover metal on my own, and when I did, I was immediately in love with it. The first metal album I bought was Master of Puppets. I didn't buy Spreading the Disease until quite a bit later. But Master of Puppets for a long time was like the one metal CD I had in my collection, and even for a while it was the one CD I had in my collection. And then I picked up the Black Album, because this was the one that everyone was talking about. Whenever I would bring up Metallica, a lot of people would say, "Oh, the Black Album." That was the one that was arguably this is the most popular Metallica album, and one of the most highly acclaimed. Because when it came out back in 1990 or 1991, it was huge. This album had put out so many radio-friendly songs that were still heavy, maybe not heavy enough for the thrash purists from Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning, that kind of era, but it definitely reached a much wider audience, got a lot of people into Metallica, a lot of people into metal, and obviously as a kid, even I gravitated towards the Black Album a little bit more. I mean, my favorite song for a long time was always Battery, because that was what really made me start, that and Madhouse were really what got me giving a shit about metal. So for a long time, those were my favorites, and of course I discovered Ride the Lightning, and that would conquer all. But yeah, really my entry point was these two bands right here. And then once I got into them, my dad whipped out his CD collection, and he showed me some of the old school Black Sabbath, because Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden were really the only metal bands that he was at the time listening to. And he showed me the first Black Sabbath album, he showed me Paranoid, Master of Reality, Sabotage, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, I ended up going out on my own and buying Volume 4 because he never had that one. That one was never one of his favorites. I think it's really, really underrated personally. But yeah, he got me into some of the even older material than even the 80s thrash. So because of him, I got into Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden. I discovered Motorhead, and he bought Ace of Spades, and I borrowed it from him all the time, was listening to it constantly in my room and on the computer and everything. And it took me a little bit of time to get into Judas Priest because for a long time I didn't really to me they were never bad. It was just if I was ever given the opportunity to choose of the bands I wanted to listen to, Judas Priest was never high on my list to listen to. I wouldn't say they're one of my all-time favorite bands. I respect them more than most bands, though. I have a lot of love for Judas Priest, and I need to build up my Judas Priest collection more. Love that band. Not in my top 10, necessarily, though. But, so yeah, my story of getting into heavy metal was very, very, very quick and easy. It all happened because of Guitar Hero, and once I heard the thrashy stuff from Metallica and Anthrax, back in the 80s, and started going off and listening to more and more bands, it just took off from there. More recently, I've been discovering symphonic metal, folk metal, and been really getting into black metal and death metal. Because for a long time, I didn't like black metal, the satanic lyrics, the overtly satanic lyrics, and such would put me off, because for a long time I was a very religious kid. I'm not going to go into that now, but let's just say the satanic shit doesn't really bother me anymore. I'll let you kind of decide for yourself what that means. But started getting more into death metal and black metal. Some genres I've stepped into but haven't fully delved into are progressive metal, and like I said before, folk metal and symphonic metal. The only genres I don't really strive to go for are metalcore, deathcore. I don't really care for them. Grindcore. I really know nothing about grindcore that much. I don't find myself listening to a lot of grindcore bands. Or any, really. New metal, I just like certain bands. I like Disturbed. I like Korn. I love Slipknot. Slipknot's one of my favorites. I like some of the Deftones. I think I've talked about metalcore before. Some of the bands I kind of like from that. Also, another genre that's not metal or subgenre, it's not metal, but a lot of people associate it with metal, is hardcore punk. I've tried. I can't fucking do it. I like some Misfit songs. I like a little bit of the Bad Brains, but older bands like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, and then hardcore like Black Flag, Bad Religion, Dead Kennedys. That stuff really never quite grabbed me. So, I mean, nothing against punk. There's plenty of merit to it. It's just, it was never a form of music that I found myself listening to all the time, and I just found the songs to be, to either sound the same or tell the same message, or just not really have much, not a whole lot of depth or range to them. No, I shouldn't say depth. There's definitely, like I said, a lot to be said when it comes to punk. But for me, whenever I hear like Black Flag, all the songs, they seem the same to me. So, if you like punk, that's great. It's just I could never love it. But yeah, that's really, that's kind of all there really is to say about my progression into metal. It happened very quick. It was really just an offshoot of rock, and for a long time I even considered them the same genre. Very clearly they are not. And I started becoming more and more respectful and loving towards the genre, and it's now my favorite genre of any form of music. So yeah, that's basically how I got into metal. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think of the video, the quality and whatnot. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back for another video soon, hopefully with Chris in the next one. But yeah, stay tuned for more videos to come. Peace, guys.